The night was dark, and the storm was like a monster. Rain hammered down on the empty road, lightning ripped across the sky, and thunder shook the earth like war drums. A single truck moved slowly through the storm, its headlights cutting through sheets of water. Inside, the human driver kept his hands tight on the wheel. His name was Daniel, and he knew if he stopped now, he might never move again. The road was drowning in rain, and the wind screamed as if trying to push him off. Daniel's truck was old but strong. It had carried wood, stone, and food across Earth's harsh world. Tonight, however, it carried something else: silence. Daniel had no music playing, no radio, just the sound of the storm and the groan of his truck's engine. His eyes were tired, but he forced himself to stay sharp. He had seen storms before, but not like this one. This storm felt alive, like it was hunting him. Then it happened out of nowhere. A shadow darted across the road. Daniel's eyes widened. His foot slammed the brakes. Tires screamed, mud splashed high, and with a bone-shaking thud, something crashed into the side of his truck. The sound was so sudden, so violent, that his heart nearly stopped. For a moment there was only silence except for the heavy rain. Daniel's breathing was sharp and fast. He thought maybe it was an animal, a deer or something lost in the storm. But then he heard it, a voice weak but clear. "Help, please." His chest tightened. That was no animal, that was a person. Or something close to it. He pushed open the door, and the storm nearly ripped it from his hand. Rain slapped against his face as he stepped out. His boots sank in the mud. He squinted into the darkness and saw her, a girl but not human. She lay half in the mud, half against his truck. Her skin shimmered faintly in the flashes of lightning, pale blue with streaks of silver that glowed like rivers under her flesh. Her hair clung to her face, wet and tangled. Her eyes, large and glowing, looked up at him. Begging without words, Daniel froze. His first thought was disbelief. An alien here on this stormy night, lying broken against his truck. He had heard rumors before, stories of strange visitors from beyond Earth, but he had never believed them. Yet here she was, gasping for breath, shivering in the cold rain. "Shelter," she whispered, her voice cracked but urgent. "You must give me shelter, human." Daniel's heart pounded. He didn't know what to say. He wanted to ask questions: who she was, where she came from, why she was here, but the storm left no time. She was freezing, shaking, and she would not last long if he stood here thinking. He bent down and touched her arm. Her skin was colder than ice, her body was light, fragile, as if she had not eaten in days. She tried to stand but stumbled against him. He caught her before she fell, and in that moment he saw the fear in her eyes. Not just from the storm, but from something else. Something chasing her. "Please," she begged again, this time louder, her hand gripping his jacket. "Take me inside or I will die out here." Daniel hesitated. He was only a truck driver, a simple man with no power. Yet standing here in the storm with this alien girl clinging to him, he felt the weight of a choice heavier than the thunder above. If he took her in, his life would never be the same. If he left her, she would vanish into the storm, and he would carry that guilt forever. The storm roared as if demanding his decision. Lightning tore the sky. Thunder answered like a judge. Daniel looked down at her again, her glowing eyes filled with desperation. Her lips blue from cold, her hands trembling so hard they could barely hold on to him. Without another thought, he lifted her into his arms. She was lighter than he expected. He rushed back to the truck, the rain trying to drag them both down. He pulled the door open and pushed her gently onto the passenger seat. She curled up, shivering, her breath uneven. Daniel climbed in after her and slammed the door shut. The storm was still loud, but inside the truck it was a little warmer, a little safer. The alien girl pulled the old blanket from the seat and wrapped it around herself. She looked at him, her glowing eyes soft but still filled with fear. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice shaking, "but now, you are in danger too." Daniel stared at her, his mouth was dry, his mind raced. What danger? Who was chasing her? And why had fate brought her crashing into his truck on this night? He didn't know the answers yet, but one thing was clear. His life had just changed forever. And outside, the storm screamed louder, as if warning him that this was only the beginning. The storm still roared outside, pounding the truck with endless rain. The windows rattled, and the wind howled like wolves trying to tear the world apart. But inside the cabin there was silence, broken only by the shallow breathing of the alien girl. Daniel kept both hands on the steering wheel, though the truck wasn't moving anymore. His eyes flicked toward her again and again. She sat curled in the blanket, her wet hair dripping onto the seat. Her skin faintly glowed in the dark interior, silver lines pulsing under her flesh like hidden rivers. He wanted to speak, but words felt heavy. He was just a man who carried goods across roads, not someone who ever thought he would share a seat with a being from another world. Finally, he cleared his throat. "What happened to you out there?" The girl lifted her head, her glowing eyes fixed on him. There was fear in them, but also something harder, determination. Her voice was soft but steady. "This world does not want me. Your people do not want me. The storm is not my enemy. Human hearts are." Daniel felt a shiver run through him that had nothing to do with the cold. He wanted to ask more, but she turned her face toward the window, watching the endless rain slide down the glass. "You demanded shelter," he said after a moment, trying to understand why. "Why me?" Her eyes flicked back to him, glowing faintly in the dark. "Because you stopped others would not. I watched them pass me on the road, they saw me and they sped up, pretending I was not real." Her voice cracked for the first time. "But you did not run from me. You risked stopping." Daniel swallowed, his chest felt tight. He didn't like to think of himself as brave. He just reacted, and yet something in her words made him uneasy. If others had seen her and left her behind, then maybe she was right. People didn't want her kind here. "Who are you?" he finally asked. She hesitated, then whispered, "My name is Kara." Her glowing hand pulled the blanket tighter. "I am one of the lost ones." Daniel frowned. "Lost ones?" Kara nodded slowly. "My people came here when our sky burned. We were promised safety, a chance to live. But Earth's world is harsh. Your leaders gave us no welcome, no shelter. They cast us aside. They called us a burden." Her voice trembled with anger and pain. "We were left to survive in the cold and the shadows, always hunted, never wanted." Daniel leaned back, his stomach twisting. He had heard whispers on the radio before. News talking about refugees from the stars, politicians arguing, some saying Earth couldn't support them, others calling them dangerous. But he never imagined one of them would crash into his truck on a stormy night. Kara's eyes locked onto his. "Do you understand now, human? I did not ask for kindness, I demanded shelter. Because out there is only death." Her words hit him hard, and for a moment he didn't know what to say. He rubbed his hand over his face. The truck felt smaller now, as if the storm outside was pressing down. Before he could answer, the sound of engines cut through the storm. Daniel's head snapped toward the rearview mirror. Lights appeared far down the road. 2, 3, maybe more. Moving slowly through the rain, Kara stiffened, her breathing quickened. Her hands gripped the blanket as if it were a shield. "They found me," she whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel's pulse jumped. "Who?" Her eyes widened, glowing brighter now with fear. "Hunters, they don't want me alive, they want what I know. They want silence." The lights grew closer. Shining like ghostly eyes in the storm, Daniel felt his throat dry. He was a truck driver, nothing more. He had no weapon, no plan, yet sitting beside him was an alien girl, fragile but holding secrets powerful enough to make enemies chase her through the night. "Do not open the door," Kara said suddenly, her voice sharp now. "No matter what they say, do not give me to them." Daniel turned his head. "And if they force me?" Her glowing eyes stared deep into his. "Then you must decide if your life is only your own, or if tonight, it belongs to something greater." The words chilled him. His heart raced. He didn't know this girl, didn't understand her story fully, but when he looked at her trembling form, he felt something stir inside him, something that told him the storm wasn't his real danger anymore. What hunted her was. The truck rattled as one of the vehicles pulled up close. A spotlight cut through the rain and hit his windshield. Blinding white, Daniel's hands tightened on the wheel. His chest pounded. The storm outside screamed. And inside, Kara whispered, almost like a prayer, "Shelter me, human, and I will shelter you in return." The sound of doors slamming shut echoed through the night. Footsteps splashed in the mud. The hunters had arrived. And Daniel knew the darkness had only just begun. The storm had not ended, but the sound outside the truck had changed. No longer was it only thunder and rain. Now heavy footsteps moved in the mud and voices shouted against the wind. The bright beam of a spotlight blinded Daniel for a second. He raised his hand to block it, his heart hammering in his chest. Kara shrank deeper into the blanket, her glowing eyes wide with fear. Her breath came fast, shallow, almost like she was ready to run even though she had nowhere to go. Daniel whispered, "Who are they?" Her answer was quick, sharp. "Hunters. Not from my people, but from yours. Men paid to make sure aliens like me never speak. Never survive." The words stung him. He wanted to believe she was wrong, but the spotlight outside told him otherwise. A deep voice cut through the storm. "Driver! Open the door, step out slowly. This is official business." Daniel froze. His hands tightened on the wheel. His mind screamed to obey, to get out and let them deal with it, but beside him, Kara grabbed his sleeve with trembling hands. "If you give me up, they will kill me. They will not stop there. They will silence you too." The pounding on the truck's door came next, heavy fists slamming against the metal. "Open up." Daniel's throat went dry. He was a simple trucker, not a fighter. He carried supplies across empty roads. He had no weapon, no training, no plan, and yet, looking at Kara's terrified face, he knew if he opened that door, she would be dragged into the storm and never seen again. "Stay quiet," he whispered. His voice was low but firm. Kara's eyes searched his face, and for the first time, a spark of trust flickered in them. The banging continued, and then came the sound of boots moving around the truck. Shadows moved against the beam of headlights outside. Figures tried the doors, tested the handles, but Daniel had locked them tight. Finally, the voice shouted again, angrier this time. "Driver, last warning. You're harboring something dangerous. Open up now, or we'll force you out." Dangerous, Daniel thought bitterly. Was that all they saw when they looked at her? A half-frozen girl begging for shelter? He gritted his teeth. The storm roared louder, as if daring him to make a choice. Then Kara leaned closer, her voice trembling. "They will not stop. They never stop. If we stay here, they will break in. We must move." Daniel's eyes flicked to the windshield. The road ahead was a blur of rain and mud, hardly visible, but she was right. Sitting still meant being trapped. He swallowed hard, turned the key, and the old engine rumbled to life. Outside, the hunter shouted, "He's starting the truck, move." Daniel slammed his foot on the gas. The tires spun in the mud before finally catching grip. The truck lurched forward, spraying water and dirt. Kara gripped the seat with both hands, her glowing eyes wide. Shadows ran alongside, lights flashing. Daniel kept the wheel steady. Even as his heart pounded harder than the rain on the roof, one of the vehicles pulled out in front of him. Headlights blinding, trying to block the road. "Hold on," Daniel growled. He jerked the wheel. The truck swerved, mud flying. The hunters shouted behind, but the storm swallowed their voices. The truck bounced back onto the road, tires splashing through deep puddles. Kara gasped but didn't scream. Her gaze was locked on the mirrors, watching the lights chasing them. They won't stop. They will follow us into the night. Daniel's jaw tightened. He could feel it too. The headlights behind were growing, not fading. The hunters were faster, better equipped. His truck was strong, but it was not built for escape. "Why are they after you?" he demanded, keeping his eyes on the slick road ahead. Kara's lips trembled, but she answered, "Because I know what Earth's leaders did. The promises they broke. The secrets they buried. I saw it, I heard it. I carry proof if I speak. They lose everything." Daniel glanced at her. His stomach twisted. She was more than just a runaway. She was a threat to someone powerful. That meant she was also a target who would never be safe. The truck jolted as the hunter's vehicle rammed them from behind. Metal clanged. Daniel gritted his teeth. "Damn it!" Kara cried out, holding the dashboard. Her glowing eyes burned with fear but also anger. "They will kill us both if you stop. Drive, human. Drive like the storm is with you." Her words lit something inside him. Daniel pressed harder on the gas. The truck roared. Pushing against the flood of rain, trees blurred past. The storm's fury wrapped around them, hiding them for brief moments, then exposing them again. Another vehicle tried to cut them off, headlights flaring through the rain. Daniel yanked the wheel, his truck skidding across the muddy road. For a terrifying second, it felt like they would flip. But the tires gripped again, throwing mud high as they surged forward. Kara gripped his arm, her voice shaking. "No one ever fought for us, not until now." Daniel didn't reply. His focus was locked on the road, on survival. But deep inside, he felt it. This wasn't just his fight anymore. It was theirs together behind them. The hunters still chased. Shadows in the storm, unseen but never gone. And Daniel knew the night was far from over. The chase had only just begun. The truck thundered down the soaked road, tires sliding and splashing as the storm raged on. Daniel's hands gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. The headlights behind them were still there, glowing like hungry eyes that refused to disappear. Beside him, Kara clutched the blanket tight. Her glowing eyes darted to every mirror. Her body shook, not from the cold anymore, but from fear that seemed to dig deep into her bones. Daniel finally spoke, his voice rough. "You need to tell me everything, Kara. Who are they? What do they want from you?" She hesitated, her chest rising and falling fast. "If I tell you, your life will no longer belong to you. It will be theirs to destroy." Daniel let out a dry laugh, keeping his eyes on the slick road. "Too late for that? They're already trying to run us off the road. I deserve to know what I'm risking my neck for." Kara's glowing eyes softened, but there was pain in them, as if she carried a weight too heavy to share. Still, she leaned closer, her voice almost lost under the sound of the rain. "My people came here when our world died. We were promised refuge by your leaders. They told us we could rebuild, live in peace, but when we arrived, everything changed." She paused, swallowing hard. "They forced us into camps, hidden places far from cities. We had no rights, no food, no dignity. We were treated as shadows, unwanted and unseen." Daniel's jaw tightened. He had heard rumors, news about alien camps, but most channels called them temporary shelters. He had never thought about what it meant. Kara's voice cracked. "It was not only neglect, it was betrayal. Some of us were taken away, experimented on, used for knowledge, for power. We were not guests. We were resources." Her eyes glowed brighter now, her anger pushing through her fear. "I escaped and I took something with me. Proof, evidence of what they did, files, records, voices. It's hidden inside me." Daniel's head snapped toward her. "Inside you?" Kara nodded. "My kind carry memory differently. We can store more than thoughts. We can hold images, words, entire recordings. They cannot erase it without erasing me." Daniel felt his chest tighten. He looked back at the lights chasing them. The hunters weren't just after her. They were after what she carried. What she knew, if she was telling the truth. Then Kara wasn't just a runaway. She was a living key that could expose Earth's darkest secret. "They'll kill anyone who helps me," she whispered, tears mixing with the rain still dripping from her hair. "That's why no one stops. That's why no one gives shelter. They are afraid to share my burden." Daniel swallowed. His heart pounded. He was only a truck driver, not a soldier, not a hero. Yet here he was, caught in a storm with a hunted alien girl who carried truth inside her body. "Why me then?" he muttered. "Why did you run into my truck?" Kara turned her glowing eyes on him, eyes that looked both fragile and fierce. "Because the storm brought me to you, and because you stopped. A human who still has mercy is more powerful than armies." Daniel felt his chest twist at her words. He wanted to deny it, but something inside him refused. He wasn't special. He was just stubborn. But maybe stubborn was exactly what Kara needed. Suddenly the truck jolted. A loud bang echoed through the cabin. One of the hunters' vehicles had rammed them from the side. Daniel gritted his teeth and fought the wheel. His truck swerved dangerously close to the ditch before he regained control. Kara gasped, holding on to the seat. "They will not stop until I am gone." Daniel's voice hardened. "Then we make sure they don't get what they want." For a moment, silence filled the cabin except for the storm. Kara's glowing eyes softened. "You are risking everything for me. Why?" Daniel exhaled slowly. "Because I've seen enough injustice in this world. I won't be part of another one. If what you say is true, then someone has to care. Someone has to fight." Kara stared at him as if seeing him differently now. Her trembling slowed, her voice steadied. "No one ever said that to me before. No one ever chose to stand." Before Daniel could respond, another light cut through the rain ahead, more vehicles blocking the road. His heart pounded. They were trapped, behind them. Headlights closed in front. More shadows waited. The storm pressed harder, lightning splitting the sky. Kara's voice was urgent. "If they catch us here, it ends, but there is a path. A hidden way. I know the forest roads. Follow me and maybe we survive." Daniel glanced at her. "Forest roads? With this truck?" Kara's lips curled into a faint, almost desperate smile. "Trust me, human, you gave me shelter, now I give you a chance." The headlights grew closer. The hunters moving in. Daniel's grip on the wheel tightened. His pulse thundered in his ears. He had no reason to trust her, except the storm had already bound their fates together. He nodded once sharply. Show me the way, Kara leaned forward, her glowing finger pointing through the rain-smeared windshield. Turn left at the broken sign, into the trees. Daniel's eyes narrowed on the barely visible outline ahead. It looked insane, a path no truck should take. But behind them death was closing in. He took a deep breath, slammed the wheel, and the truck roared into the unknown, splashing mud as it vanished into the forest. The hunters' lights flared behind them, but the storm swallowed them quickly. Kara closed her eyes, whispering something in her alien tongue, and Daniel realized it wasn't just him fighting to survive anymore, it was them, together, carrying secrets that could shake the world. The forest swallowed them whole. The truck's headlights cut a narrow path through thick trees, branches scraping the sides like claws. Rain still poured, though the canopy above caught some of it. The road was no road at all, just a trail of mud and roots. Daniel wrestled with the wheel, his arms aching as the truck bounced and slid. Kara leaned forward, her glowing eyes scanning the darkness. Faster, they will not stop, they never stop. Behind them, faint beams of light flickered through the trees. The hunters had followed, their engines roared in the distance. Closing in, Daniel gritted his teeth. His truck was heavy, built for roads, not for this wild path. Every bump threatened to tear the axles apart, but stopping meant death. He pushed harder on the gas. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the forest. The rear window shattered. Daniel flinched as shards of glass flew. A bullet hole burned into the frame. They're shooting. Kara cried, ducking low. Her glowing hand grabbed Daniel's arm. You cannot let them stop us. Daniel's chest burned with fear and fury. I wasn't planning on it. He slammed the wheel, swerving around a fallen log. Mud splashed up, the truck bouncing hard. His vision blurred from rain and sweat. The hunters were closer now. Their lights flashed between the trees, tires chewing the wet earth. One vehicle rammed against the back of the truck. The impact throwing them forward, Kara slammed into the dash and gasped. Daniel's blood boiled. He slammed his fist on the horn, the blaring sound echoing like a battle cry in the forest. You want me? Then come and take me. Another shot rang out, sparking against the mirror. Daniel ducked low but didn't stop. His hands stayed firm, his jaw locked like steel. Kara's voice trembled. If they catch me, they will tear the proof from my mind. They will bury the truth forever, do you understand? Daniel's eyes narrowed. Then we don't let them catch you. The forest suddenly opened into a clearing. Mud stretched wide, water pooling into deep pits. The hunters' vehicles sped up behind, engines roaring like predators sensing blood. From the lead vehicle, a figure stood half out of the roof, rain dripping from his helmet. His voice boomed through a loudspeaker. Driver! Surrender the alien, you have no chance. Hand her over and you live. Kara's grip on Daniel's sleeve tightened. Her voice was sharp, urgent. Don't listen! He lies. Daniel spat rain from his lips. Yeah, I figured. The figure raised a weapon. A bright red beam fired, searing the mud just inches from Daniel's tires. Steam hissed, the ground smoked, Kara gasped, her glowing eyes wide with terror. They're escalating, they want me dead. Daniel's pulse raced, he jerked the wheel, barely dodging another beam. The hunters weren't just trying to stop them, they were trying to burn them off the road. The figure shouted again, last chance, human. Surrender or die with her. Daniel growled low, his eyes burning. I'm not surrendering anyone. He yanked the wheel hard, sending the truck skidding sideways across the mud. The hunters swerved to follow. One vehicle lost grip and slammed into a tree, exploding into sparks, but two others stayed close. The lead hunter raised his weapon again, but before he could fire, Kara suddenly leaned out the shattered window. Her glowing hands pulsed with silver light. A strange hum filled the air. Daniel's eyes widened. What the hell? Kara's voice was strained, like she was pulling strength from deep inside. I can disrupt them, but only for a moment. Her light flared. The hunter's headlights flickered. Engines sputtered. For a brief second, the forest plunged into near-total darkness except for Kara's glow. Now, Daniel, she cried. Daniel slammed the gas. His truck roared like a beast, surging forward into the darkness. Mud flew, the wheels spinning for a breathless moment. They broke free of the hunter's grasp. But the lead vehicle recovered quickly. Its lights flared back to life. And the hunter's voice boomed angrier now. You can't run forever, human. She belongs to us. Daniel's heart thundered. He didn't know how long his truck could last. He didn't know how long Kara could hold out. But as he looked at her, glowing, trembling, yet still fighting, he knew one thing with certainty. She doesn't belong to you. Daniel muttered under his breath. She's under my protection now. Kara's eyes softened, shimmering with something he couldn't name. Perhaps gratitude, perhaps something more. The hunters closed in again, splashing mud as they circled like wolves. The storm still raged, lightning splitting the sky. Daniel's truck rattled as if it would fall apart at any second. Yet in that chaos, in that storm, a strange calm settled in his chest. He knew he could not run forever. The hunters would not stop. One way or another, they would have to face them. The storm roared louder, the forest shook, and the hunters' shadows pressed closer. The hunter had arrived, and the real battle was only just beginning. The forest shook with thunder. The rain fell harder, turning the ground into rivers of mud. Daniel's truck roared forward. But the hunters were closing in again. Their vehicles cut through the storm like predators hunting wounded prey. Daniel's hands ached from gripping the wheel. Every turn felt like a fight. His truck was strong, but it wasn't built for endless running. He knew it, Kara knew it too. Her glowing eyes flicked toward him. Calm but desperate, they will not stop. Daniel, she said softly, if you keep driving, the truck will die before they do. Daniel's jaw tightened. He hated to admit it, but she was right. The rattling engine groaned with every bump, smoke faintly leaking from under the hood. They couldn't outrun hunters with better machines, so what do you suggest? He muttered, keeping his eyes on the blurred path ahead. Kara leaned closer, her glowing hand resting on his arm. We stop. We make a stand. Daniel shot her a sharp look. Are you insane? They're armed with weapons that could burn this truck to the ground in seconds. Her eyes glowed brighter, unblinking. Yes, but if we run, they will break us slowly. If we stand, we have a chance. Her words cut through him like lightning. He wanted to deny it, but his gut told him the same. The storm outside didn't care about his fear, and neither did the hunters. This was no longer about escape, it was about survival. The road opened into another clearing, wider this time. Trees bent and cracked under the weight of the storm. Daniel slammed the brakes, the truck skidding to a halt in the mud. Kara gasped but steadied herself quickly. Daniel turned to her, his face hard. If we fight, then we fight together. But if I go down, you won't, she interrupted. Her voice was steady now, like steel. Not while I still breathe. The headlights of the hunters' vehicles broke through the trees. Circling the clearing, their engines growled. Echoing like monsters, Daniel stepped out of the truck, the rain instantly soaking through his jacket. Mud splashed up his boots as he planted himself in front of the truck. Kara followed, her silver glow shimmering faintly under the storm. She stood beside him, smaller, fragile yet unshaken. The hunters stepped out of their vehicles. Tall men in black armor, visors hiding their faces. Weapons glowed in their hands. Humming with deadly power, the lead hunter, the one who had shouted before, stepped forward. His helmet gleamed under the lightning. His voice cut through the storm. Driver, you are outnumbered. Outmatched, surrender the alien. And you live. Daniel's heart pounded, but his voice came out firm. Not happening. The hunter tilted his head, almost amused. You are just one man against trained soldiers. Do you really think you can stop us? Daniel took a step forward, rain running down his face. I don't need to stop all of you, I just need to stand long enough to make sure she gets away. Kara's glowing eyes widened at his words. Her lips trembled, but she didn't speak. The hunters raised their weapons, beams glowing red in the stormy night. Daniel clenched his fists, ready for death. But before the first shot could fire, Kara stepped forward. Silver light burst from her hands, glowing brighter than the lightning. The storm seemed to bend around her. Her voice rang out like thunder. You will not take me again. The hunters staggered, their visors flickering, their weapons shaking as if jammed. Daniel blinked in shock. What the hell? Kara's voice strained. I can disrupt their machines, but only for moments. Daniel didn't hesitate. He grabbed a heavy metal bar from the side of his truck, an old tool for cargo. Now it was his weapon. With a roar, he charged the nearest hunter, swinging with all his strength. The bar cracked against the man's helmet, sending him crashing into the mud. The others shouted, firing wildly, but Kara's glow twisted their aim, beams flashing harmlessly into trees. Daniel swung again, knocking another hunter down. His arms screamed with pain, his lungs burned, but he didn't stop. He fought like the storm itself, wild and unrelenting. The lead hunter roared, raising his weapon. A blast of red energy shot through the rain. Daniel barely dodged, the beam searing the ground inches from him. Steam hissed as mud boiled. Kara staggered, her glow flickering, her voice weak. I can't hold it much longer. Daniel's chest heaved. He looked at her, at the hunters, at the storm around them, and then something inside him snapped. He let out a furious cry, charging at the lead hunter, swinging the bar like a sword. The hunter blocked with his weapon. Sparks flying, for a moment they locked. Human strength against alien steel. The storm howled around them, lightning flashing across their clash. You're just a man, the hunter snarled. Daniel's teeth bared in a grim smile. That's all I need to be. With one last push, he shoved the weapon aside and slammed the bar into the hunter's chest. The man fell back, crashing into the mud. Kara gasped, her glow flickering weakly now, but her eyes blazed with awe. The hunters regrouped, circling tighter. Their numbers were still greater. Daniel knew he couldn't fight forever. His chest burned, his arms shook. But standing here, in the heart of the storm, with Kara beside him, he felt something stronger than fear. He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for her, for truth, for something bigger. The hunters raised their weapons again. Daniel lifted his bar. Kara's glow flared one last time. And together against the storm they stood. The storm raged like it wanted to tear the world apart. Rain poured in endless sheets, lightning split the sky. Thunder rolled like war drums in the clearing. Daniel stood with the heavy iron bar in his hands, his chest heaving, Kara's glow flickering faintly at his side. Around them, the hunters regrouped, weapons raised again. Their visors glared in the lightning, shadows moving closer through the rain. Daniel's arms shook with exhaustion, his jacket heavy with water. He knew he couldn't last much longer, but he refused to move. Kara placed her glowing hand on his arm, her voice soft but steady. Daniel, if you keep standing, you will die. Let me go. Save yourself. Daniel turned his head, rain streaming down his face. His eyes burned with fire. Not a chance. I didn't pull you into this storm just to watch you vanish in it. If I fall protecting you. Her lips trembled. Her glowing eyes shimmered with something more than fear, something deeper. The lead hunter stepped forward again, his voice cold and sharp. Enough of this game, human. You think your courage means anything? She is ours, and you are nothing but mud under our boots. Daniel lifted the iron bar, his voice low but hard. If I'm mud, then I'll drag you down with me. The hunter raised his weapon, energy pulsing red in the rain. The others mirrored him, beams glowing like fire for a heartbeat. The clearing held its breath. Then Kara suddenly stepped forward. Her glow flared brighter than before, so bright it hurt Daniel's eyes. Her voice rang out over the storm, trembling but fierce. You will not take me. You will not take him, not today. The hunters fired, red beams cut through the storm, but Kara threw her hands wide. A shield of silver light burst from her, wrapping around her and Daniel. The beam struck and scattered like sparks against stone. Daniel blinked, stunned. Kara, what? Her face was pale, her body shaking. My power. It's not meant for war, but I can hold them. For a little while. The shield wavered as the hunters pressed harder, beams slamming again and again. Kara's knees buckled. Daniel caught her with one arm, holding her steady. Don't push yourself too far, he growled. We'll find another way. Her glowing eyes met his, soft but determined. There is no other way. Daniel, if I fall, the truth dies with me. But if we stand together, even just for tonight, they cannot erase what we are. Something inside Daniel snapped, not with fear this time, but with defiance. He raised the iron bar high, his voice booming through the storm. Then let's show them what standing means. With a roar, he charged, slamming the bar into the nearest hunter. The shield flared as Kara pushed her strength into it, deflecting beams as Daniel fought with raw fury. One hunter fell, another stumbled. The lead hunter cursed, his visor sparking as Daniel smashed his weapon aside. The storm itself seemed to fight with them, lightning crashing, thunder rolling, rain hammering down like a drum of war. But Kara's glow dimmed, her strength faded. Her body shook violently. Daniel saw it in the corner of his eye. She couldn't hold much longer, Kara. He shouted, panic rising. Her voice was weak but calm. One last burst, enough to break them. Before he could stop her, she let out a cry. Her glow exploded outward, a wave of silver light surging through the clearing. The hunters' weapons sparked and died, their engines shutting down. Visors cracked, armor smoked one by one. They staggered and fell into the mud. Powerless silence followed, only the storm remained. Daniel dropped to his knees beside Kara, catching her before she collapsed. Her glow flickered faintly now, her breathing shallow. You're okay, he whispered fiercely, shaking his head. You're okay, you hear me? You're safe. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. Safe. Because of you. Daniel pulled her close, shielding her with his body as the rain poured down. For a long moment he just held her, his chest pounding. His truck was damaged. The hunters defeated for now. But in his arms was something more important than any machine. Kara's life and the truth she carried. When the storm finally began to ease, Daniel lifted his head. The forest was quiet except for the rain. The hunters lay scattered, their weapons dead, their threat broken. For tonight at least they had won. Daniel looked down at Kara, who blinked up at him with tired but shining eyes. You gave me shelter, Daniel. Not just from the storm, but from the world. I owe you everything. He shook his head, his voice rough but gentle. You don't owe me anything, Kara. You don't belong to them, and you don't belong to me. You're free. But if you want, you can stay. Her glowing eyes filled with tears, but they were not of fear this time. They were of hope. Fragile and beautiful. She whispered, Shelter becomes home. Daniel felt something in his chest ease for the first time in years, maybe ever. He felt like his life had meaning beyond the endless roads. Beyond cargo and storms, he had chosen to stand. And that choice had changed everything. As dawn broke and the storm faded into gray skies, the two of them sat in the muddy clearing, battered but alive. The hunters would return, Daniel knew that. The fight wasn't truly over, but in this moment, with Kara leaning against him, he also knew something else. They weren't just surviving anymore, they were beginning.